Welcome everybody to another meeting of Roseburg speakers and storytellers. We will have fun and we're going to learn. And I believe this is Jerry's first shot at being Toastmaster of the day. Is that correct, sir? He's smiling.
The second time, yeah.
Oh, second time. Okay, well there you go. So you're an expert. We expect
I hope so.
I am optimistic, Michelle, that Jerry is going to be the perfect Toastmaster today. So without further ado, Jerry, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you, sir.
Thank you, Tiger. Good morning, good evening, and welcome to this meeting. Today's meeting, our theme is books. So I will ask everyone to share the experience of your experience with books. For example, what is your favorite books, and why does it influence you deeply? Okay, let me first. Actually, I love reading. I have a habit before going to sleep, going to bed. I will spend about 45 minutes to 1 hour to keep reading. This is my habit. And my best book is this one. Is Kindle. You can see. So I like reading. This is my favorite tool to keep reading. And I read many books. I just finished the book Atomic Habits. It's very good. Okay, I would like to invite our Rose. Let me invite our grammarian Lauren to introduce the role, but also before that, please share your favorite book and the book story. Thank you.
Thank you. My favorite book is a series, the Harry Potter series. I started late reading it. It was really popular when I was in high school and middle school. So 2008-ish to 2013 maybe. But I started reading it after I graduated from high school because I didn't have much to do and everybody raved about it. So that's my favorite book series and book in general. And the book that I'm reading now is What's Your Formula? It's a book about different learning techniques to implement into courses, like games you can do to help the learner not fall asleep, and different ways to present the information. The word of the day is studious, which means spending a lot of time studying or reading. And as grammarian, I'll be paying close attention to good grammar and not so good grammar. The purpose of grammarian is or the importance of grammar rather, is to, if you speak well, you appear professional, credible, and state your thoughts concisely. Thanks.
Thank you. So who is the art counter today? No art counter? Then let's invite our timer, Yasmin, to introduce her role and share the book she loves.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. I absolutely love the meeting theme book, as I was one of the most studious in my class. I always used to study and read the books, the educational books. And I have to confess, using this platform, that I got so bored reading the textual books that my interest from book was taken away. So I have had read all of the big, thick books, and I have accumulated information from those books. But unfortunately, that bored me enough to not to venture anymore into other fictional side of books. But having said that, I will definitely, open myself for reading more books. Thank you for the theme, Jerry. For
Thank
my
you, Yasmin.
role
Yeah.
for today, as a timer, I will be keeping an account of our timings and also indicating alerts to the speakers. We have a prepared speaker in the room. I'll be using my virtual background. Correct me if the timings are wrong, but I understand that the speech is for 5 to 7 minutes. In that case, I'll show 5 is green. At 6, I'm going to show yellow, and at 7 minutes, I'm going to show red. For the table topics, it's going to be 1 to 2 minutes. So I'm going to show green at 1, yellow at 1 minute 30 seconds, and red at 2. And for the evaluators, it's going to be 2 to 3 minutes. So expect green at 2. Yellow, if you see it, it's 2 minutes 30 seconds, and 3 minutes is red to wind up. And I will also put the information about our timings in the chat. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Yasmin. So who is our general evaluator? No, Michelle?
I am the general evaluator, and
So
as
now it's your turn to introduce.
okay, and I apologize for not switching my video on. Boy, books. I love books. Oof. My best, I guess, there's so many books I love, but one of the most influential books for me was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by the late Dr. Stephen Covey. When I first read it, I was resonating. I was saying, yes, 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 that's true. That's so true. And for those who have not read it, it will change your life, literally change your life. It gives you a different paradigm of how to see things. It puts the onus of responsibility on yourself, not blaming other people, focusing on your area of concern rather than problems and all that. So it's a wonderful book by Dr. Stephen Covey. Maybe one of these days I should do a speech about it. Hint, hint to our VP. Anyway, yes, that's my favorite book, and it has influenced my life. I'm trying to think of what's the word of the day so I can put it in. I wish I can remember what's the word of the day. But anyway, that's it. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michelle. I love the book too, The Highly Effective 7 Habits. You are so studious, I think. Very
Studious.
good.
That's the word of the day. Studious. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. I like the book too. And okay, let's move on. As a Toastmaster, actually we will have 3 sections. First one is a prepared speech, and the second one is table topics, and the third section is feedback. That's evaluation. It's very important for Toastmasters because first you can practice, then you will get feedback, what you are good at and what you are not good at, so you can improve yourself. Today's we got 2 prepared speech. The first speaker will be Titin. She will practice speech. Her prize and project is Pathways Dynamic Leadership Level 2. Understanding your leadership style. So she has time 5 to 7 minutes. The project title is The Power of Optimism. So let's welcome Titin to give us the first prepared speech.
Just like a farmer whose job is planting crops, a pilot whose job is flying airplane, a leader's job is to empower people. A leader is like water, and the people they lead are the flowers. When flowers are watered rightly, they will thrive and bloom beautifully. However, when the flowers are watered too much, they will be drowned. How if it lacks of water? It will wilt and die. Have you ever pondered what is the difference between a leader and an employee? An employee tries their best so that they are not replaceable by any other people. However, a leader tries their best so that they are replaceable. Let me take you back to my division director interview a few months ago. While doing the interview to me, my past division director instilled a message to me that is not to do micromanagement. Not to do micromanagement. Well, in my business, in my learning center, I try my best to empower my employees. However, I feel like I'm the mascot in that learning center. Because when the parents, when they don't see me there in my office, they would complain that their children are not well taken care of. Well, from that interview, I learned that as a leader, there are 3 types of leadership. First one, autocratic, from top to down. Too much of the water that is straight to the flower. Second one, laissez-faire, lenient leadership, lack of water. And the third one is democratic type of leadership, encouraging participation, just right amount of water. Well, I think that my leadership style is more to the democratic ones. And I was so inspired by the leadership in Toastmasters so that I decide not to do micromanagement. How to do that? I believe we can start with these 3 things. First one, find the right person in the right position. It is crucial. However, retaining them is another story. I used to have lots of headaches of retaining my good employees. And one day, I had a conversation with a business coach. A conversation with a winner is different. He gave me one piece of classic advice that still works like magic for me until now. That is to give my employees a place to stay. And the second one is to give them trainings. For this, I learned from Toastmasters TLI. It works very well. And then the third one is to delegate. Well, delegating, no, it does not mean that we are looking for someone to blame when things go wrong. We still need to be responsible for the mistakes that was done by our employees. It took me years to have that big heart to apologize to my customers for the mistakes that I did not do. It was done by my employees. I empower my employees. However, I still need to be responsible for the mistakes that they have done. Let me tell you something. Last week, my father was hospitalized and I needed to take care of him. So I left my learning center to my employees. To my surprise, they could run it well without me supervising them. Had I still doing the micro management, watering the flower vigorously, most probably I would lose my business because it wouldn't be able to run without me having to be in the office supervising them closely. Well, the goal of a great leader is to be replaceable, empowering the employees so that they feel that they could do their job well without us being there having to supervise them closely. So presidents of the clubs, VPs of the clubs, make sure that you are replaceable, that the meetings can run well without you having to be there all the time. A leader is like a water, and the people they lead are the flowers. When the flowers are watered rightly, they will thrive and bloom beautifully. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Titin. I like your speech. It's about use the metaphor about the water and the flower to explain the leadership. I like it. Thank you, Titin. So we have the second one, but I can see Julia is not here, right? So we will move on to the next section is table topic section. I think we have enough time to practice more table topics because our second prepared speech doesn't show up. So let's welcome our table topic master, Ravi.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for that. So let's get started with table topics. Let me see who I'd like to pick on today to begin our table topics segment. How about Sarah?
Okay.
All right. Tiger's telling us that I'm replaceable and therefore I'm a great leader. Yeah, that's why I join all these meetings late, Tiger. All right. So Sarah, let's see. I have 10 table topics. I'm going to randomly pick one and ask you to talk about it. I've tried to pick themes. I've tried to pick topics that are around today's theme, which is books. So, and you're the inspiration for it. So that's why I'm picking on you to be the first one to talk about it. The table topic for you today is, if you had to choose a title for your autobiography, what would it be and why? If you had to choose a title for your autobiography, what would it be and why?
A life of glory. Indeed, Ravi. Sometimes I think a lot about how my life is and how it's going on. And then I stop for a moment and reflect. Have I had all what I wanted in my life? maybe some small details are not there, but in general, I think I have been happy in my life. I grew up in a small village. Then I had the opportunity to travel and see something of the world. I could study abroad. I could also work abroad and know very interesting people. In general, I can say that I have had a happy life, so that when I write my book, I want to make this very, very clear. And I also want to thank my family, my friends, and give maybe some advice to keep a calm life and to reach your goals. So yeah, when I have my book, it has to be something very positive, something like a life of glory. Back to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks a lot for that. A life of glory. Now, all of us have to imagine what is it that we should be doing if we would want to call our lives a life full of glory. So that's something for all of us to think about. Okay, now with that, let me pick on Michelle. I think Michelle said she can't come on camera, but I'm sure she is game for table topics. Are you
Yes,
game?
and she's unmuted herself.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle, tell us about something that you like to read, and no matter what mood you're in, reading it makes you feel better.
Yes, I immediately I have a book. It's a small book, and I I hope some of you have read that book. It is called The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I can't pronounce French anyway. It's a Most people think it's a children's book because it has lots of little drawings about the baobab trees and the little prince and the viper and all that and the rocket ship and all that. But it is actually an adult book written in a way that even children would enjoy it, but it also speaks of pay attention to matters of great consequence. And that means people. People are always the most important matter in not work and not just getting stuff done. It's a really short book and I can finish it. If I need to, I can just finish it in one sitting. And I think I've read it, I don't know, maybe two dozen times or more. But it's an amazing book. If you have not read The Little Prince yet, you need to read it. It does have a little bit of a sad ending if you just think in terms of the ending. But if you're an optimist and you look forward to something beyond the ending, then it's just an inspiring book. And I don't read it because I'm studious. It's just because it's so inspiring and it opens my understanding to life. And I think I'm over time, but I can't see the timer. Anyway, back to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Michelle. So that's another great book recommendation from Michelle for all of us, The Little Prince. That reminds me of a short story. I don't know if I'm confusing these two, but I think I remember reading something called The Happy Prince. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Thank you for that, Michelle. Okay, so who do I pick on next? Person who's looking away and pretending to be focusing on something else, wearing a sweatshirt that says Oregon. Need I say more? Tiger. All right. So this is for you, Tiger. If you were to write short autobiography, which 3 incidents about your life would you choose to write about? Well, short or long, it's up to you, but Which 3 incidents would you definitely include in your autobiography?
Title of my short biography is Tiger Tales. I've already written 3 stories. One is about my experience working in the forest that turned into a contest speech for humor. So I learned just about everything in life that a person could possibly learn, including overcoming fear. My second story is a story of being a soccer coach and the lessons I learned. Teton's speech was perfect. I was autocratic for years, stressed out. I had 12 players who had been with me for 4 years. They wrote a contract, and the contract was basically they would take care of everything. The only thing I had to do is figure out who played where and how much. It was amazing. I just sat on the sideline, drank Coke, and they took care of everything. It was the best season I ever had, and I employed that from then on. Absolutely beautiful. They got just enough water. Thank you, Teton. The last story is that of Toastmasters and how it has basically changed my life. I've met people from all over the world, including many people here, and how it has opened my eyes. I haven't traveled. Well, I've traveled all over the Western US and Canada. I have not traveled to other countries. However, I have zoomed around the world and I have met people from every culture, and it has been an absolutely phenomenal experience. The one thing I would like to say, the name of my book is not 7 Habits. The name of my book would be Tiger Tales and the one habit, the only habit that is important, and that is to get up in the morning, make your bed, and have a cup of coffee. After that, everything will happen. Back to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Tiger. I'll have to remember to make sure at least to make my bed, if not make my own coffee in the morning tomorrow. All right, so 3 stories from Tiger. Now, who do I request? Now, let's see. Lauren, would you want to pick, or well, let me pick a topic for you. Which is your favorite movie adaptation of a book, and what makes it your favorite?
My favorite movie adaptation is from the Lord of the Rings series. I read the 3 books over the summer before I started college, and they're very dense and, well, they describe every little thing, and so I got bored pretty quickly. There's a lot of songs written out too, and I didn't really enjoy the books. However, the movies are actually pretty good, and I think it's the only time that when comparing the book to the movie, I would actually say that the Lord of the Rings movies are better because the plot is well paced and the characters are interesting. It doesn't describe everything because it's a movie, so you can see it. I enjoyed the movie series more than the book. However, the Hobbit book I enjoyed equally as well as the movie series, although I don't think they needed to make it 3 movies. However, it was still good. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. So now that we know that Lauren is a studious person, well, actually, she said she didn't read those books, did she? So maybe not that studious. but I think we know what movie she holds very close to her heart, and she can call her own precious. Okay. Now let's see. Our timer has been keeping time of everybody else's speeches. Let's see if someone else can volunteer. Well, I'm sure Michelle is already timing the timer to make sure she's doing a good job. So I think Michelle will be our backup timer, and we'll have Yasmin take the next table topic. Yasmin, if you could bring the characters of a fictional book to life, which book would it be and why? If you could bring the characters of a fictional book to life, which book would it be and why?
Well, what would Jasmine or Yasmin urge for, if not her Aladdin and the genie? So yes, if I have to bring a fictional book to life, that's definitely gonna be Aladdin, and not Aladdin without a genie. So definitely an Aladdin and definitely a genie, which is gonna be there. And if they are there, I promise I don't have to make my bed as I wake up in the morning. I will not have to really think through the power of optimism, because things will be served. That's what I believe. And the only thing that will worry me then is the jealousy I would acquire from all the other women who do not have Aladdin and Genie. But having said that, yes, those two characters stand closest to my heart, and I must thank my parents for at least making me feel good being Yasmin and making me so popular worldwide through this character. So thank you, and back to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Yasmin. Yeah, when I watched the Disney movie, I think one of my favorite characters also turned out to be, well, it was the genie, because of the amazing voice art that was done by, quiz question for everyone. Who was it? Who was the genie?
Robin Williams.
Yep. That was it. Thank you. All right. So now I think we've got our speaker for the day. Would you be interested in a table topic? Titin.
Yes, Ravi.
Okay. Excellent. Titin, if there's a book in your local language that you'd like everyone in the world to read, which book is it? Tell us more about it.
One book in my local language that I would like everyone in the world to read is this book. It reads Taipan. I will let you guess the meaning of Taipan. Well, I love this book very much because it is a combination of history of Indonesia and also how the business people in Indonesia, especially in the past, did their business and became very successful. So I enjoy very much reading each and every of the pages of this thick book. Yeah, I think this is perhaps the thickest book, one of the thickest book that I have ever read and finished enjoyably. I've read the review of this book, however, review only is not enough. Reading the book pages by pages gives me an enjoyment. And even now, I can imagine myself having a vacation and then reading this book in a serene environment in my house without anyone bothering me. It was a very nice experience. So this is the book. The title is Taipan, and I will read for you the title in Bahasa Indonesia, Lahirnya Para Konglomerat. So it tells you about the conglomerate in Indonesia. Not only their story, but also I get enriched, my horizon was widened with the history of Indonesia. And even I didn't learn this history from the formal education that I got from the school, and I get it here. So one day, if we meet in person, I will lend you this book so that you can enjoy it by yourself. Back to you, Rafi.
Thank you, Titan. Great to know about this book that all of us should also experience and read about. And well, I think I'll go look for a copy of it on Kindle if I can. Thank you for sharing. And when you mentioned about your horizons expanding, it reminded me of a book that I've been holding here. And I'll interject and interrupt the table topics to just share with everybody about that book. The book is by, well, it's actually not a book, it's a compilation of articles written by this fellow called Malcolm Gladwell, if you've not heard of him. And the book is called What the Dog Saw. Well, I think I should get my background off. Sorry about that. There you go. So the book is called What the Dog Saw, and the author is Malcolm Gladwell. It's a compilation of the articles that he's written for, I think, the New York Times. And there's an article that's called What the Dog Saw. And just like Ketan said, when I read this book, my horizons were expanded to lovely book. And I'd encourage all of you to see if you can just look up any of the articles, even the article that's called What the Dog Saw. It's about this dog whisperer called Cesar Millan, if you've heard of him. And that's how the title of the book comes. But there's a whole lot of other articles in it as well, which are really interesting. So I'd encourage any of you who are interested to give a peek. All right, now with that, I think we've had table topics for everyone but Terry. Now I'd like to quickly check if we have time. I think we do. And so I'd like to ask Terry to take up the next table topic. Are you ready, Jerry?
Yes.
Okay. Terry, the table topic for you is, do you prefer reading books in the physical form, or do you prefer books on the digital device? What do you prefer and why?
Thank you. For me, I would like to the digital form. My most favorite tool is Kindle. It's issued by Amazon. Why I like this digital form? Because it's very easy to bring. For the traditional book, actually it will be very heavy. And the idea to travel a lot from this city to another city in China, but it's very, very inconvenient to bring this heavy book with me every time. This is the first one. That's why I like the digital form. It's very light. The second reason is because I want to improve my English. I like reading the English version of some books. But in my country, in China, it's hard to get the most popular and the newest book from the traditional version. But I can get the Kindle version instantly from Amazon.com. When I made payment, it will be delivered immediately. So I like this is to enjoy, satisfy myself instantly. It also pushed me to be studious. And the third one is because when you reading this kind of digital form, it will have records. You will have the records how many books you finished in 1 year. That's very good. Thank you. Back to table topic Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for that. Indeed, you get to see metrics about what you've read and how long it took you to read it and all of that. Another thing that I find very interesting about the Kindle is that if there's a word that you don't know, or if you want to look up the meaning again, you can just touch that word and the dictionary pops up. And there was a time that I was so used to doing that, that when I went back to a physical book, I actually did that. I opened up the book and I was touching it. I was thinking, how do I get the meaning for this word? So that's something that I remember that happened to me. Speaking of heavy books, before I hand it over to Jerry again, this is one heavy book, and I really love this book. As a kid, I mean, I think I was maybe 9 when I started reading Sherlock Holmes. That was actually an illustrated book. It wasn't this book, which is full of words only. It was a small, tiny illustrated book with drawings on one side and the artwork on one side and the text on the other for kids. And that's how I started off. But I'm a big fan of big, thick books like this one. And another thing that he reminded me of is, yeah, I love digital books, but I also love physical books. It's not really a physical book as such. It's actually a compilation of Calvin and Hobbes. I'm a big fan of Calvin and Hobbes, and I had a table topic that I thought I'd give to myself. So I'll take just 5 seconds and tell you. The table topic was, if I could be a cartoon character or a comic strip character, which one would I be? I think I'd probably one of these two guys, either Calvin or Hobbes. That's what I would pick. If you've not had a chance to explore these, I would suggest you try these out as well. I think you'll find them on the internet, somewhere on the internet for sure. Go Comics, I think. A lovely read. Not just for kids, it's for adults as well. So with that, thank you very much for taking the time for table topics today. I'll hand it back to Jerry. Over to you.
Thank you for our table topic master, Ravi. Yeah, very, very good. Jody, you take us going through the what we are favorite books and actually share our experience, why we enjoy this book, why this book influence and inspire us. It's a mental exercise. Quite perfect. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to the next section. I would like to call on our January evaluator, Michelle. I will hand to her. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for the masterful management of the meeting. Excellent Toastmaster of the day. We had only one speaker, and therefore I will only be calling one of the evaluators, although we actually had Sarah ready to evaluate the second speaker. Unfortunately, Julie messaged me that she was unable. She was feeling really tired. So Tiger, please give us your evaluation of the teen's speech.
Well, first of all, we got to hear from Sarah, and then I get to evaluate Sarah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can evaluate Sarah right now.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Sarah, that was a wonderful evaluation, but we'll go ahead and hear from her first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Sarah who's evaluating Titin? Okay, sorry.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Titin, it was a wonderful speech. I want to say every time I listen to a speech and I learn something new, I know that I can take something to implement in my daily life. I think it is a great speech. And this is today the case. Because I learned that leader's job is to empower people. And I also learned that the role of the leader is to be replaceable. Those pieces of information are really important to learn, and you did it great by conveying this message. Now, I really like many things of your speech, but just as you said about the water and the flowers, if I give you too much feedback, then the flowers won't bloom. But if I give you too little, it's also a problem that they won't bloom. So I will give you some pieces of advice of what I like it and then what you could improve. Yeah. So first of all, you were explaining us a very complex concept, which is leadership, and you use perfectly storytelling. From your experience, you were also using body language. You use these metaphors with the flowers, with the water. It really helped us to think about these concepts. And you also mentioned that you are a democratic leader. That was perfect. Something that you could improve, just a little details about this, is when you were telling us about the difference with the employees and the leader, maybe you could use more the display and go on one side when you want to talk about the employees and on the other when you want to talk about the leader. I think you did it, but maybe do it more strongly so that we can really see the difference. One other recommendation is when you give your points about being a good leader, you tell us you give your employees a place to stay, training, and you delegate. I felt that you elaborate more on delegate, but not on training or giving a place to stay. I will have like to hear some sentence about what do you mean with this concepts. And all in all, great speech, great presence on the virtual stage. Keep it like this. I really enjoyed your speech. Back to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Excellent evaluation. I agree with all your points. Great speech, Titin. Just have one little suggestion. The title, The Power of Optimism, threw me off a little bit. I was expecting more about optimism, and it was mostly about leadership. So maybe a title that spoke more of leadership in the title. But hey, it was nice because I had a little bit of a discovery trying to find out where's the optimism part of it. We only have one speaker, so we will now move on to our grammarian's report. Let us hear from Lauren on how we use English grammar and maybe could improve, and also, of course, the word of the day.
Point of
Welcome,
order.
Lauren.
I get to evaluate. I know this is unusual, Michelle, but I get to evaluate Sarah.
Is that, I thought you were kidding. No? Okay.
No. I get to evaluate Sarah. I think it's part of her project. Sarah, can you explain why I'm evaluating you real quick?
Yeah, it's part of the feedback, research and feedback project, level 2, I think.
Okay, go ahead, Tiger.
Thank you, Miss General Evaluator, and thank you, Sarah. That was a very interesting, it was a very thorough evaluation. I appreciate the fact that you gave her many things that she did well. The storytelling, the body language, the metaphors, the fact that she identified that she's a democratic leader. You let her know that the message was something that's important, which we all know. If you're going to give a speech in Toastmasters, there should be a takeaway. And there's definitely a takeaway in the speech. You also gave her a couple recommendations about how she could use her body language a little bit better, and elaborate more on some parts of her speech. So in terms of an evaluation, you followed the format. You gave her things you like, you gave her things that she can improve upon, which I think were valuable. I do have a couple of recommendations. You started with, it was a wonderful speech, and that's very nice. However, you said, what I liked about your, there were things I liked about your speech, and there's some things that I will tell you, I'm paraphrasing, that you can do better. I think it would be valuable just to start the evaluation with that. And you can say it was a wonderful speech, what I'm going to do, and kind of set the table for us, because you didn't really say that until later. So it seemed a little discombobulated, because you're already telling us things that you liked. And then you said you're going to tell us things that you liked, and you told us more. So I would just start with that. Other than that, it was an interesting take on the, we have this format, you tell us the good things, you tell us the recommendations, you start with positive, you end with positive, which you did. You did all those things in an interesting way. It was very interesting. You made specific, what I appreciate again is that you made specific identifications. My other recommendation, so my first recommendation was just start out, set the table. My other recommendation was that perhaps you give her a little bit more analysis of how she went about the speech, her structure, a few more specific things. We're on Zoom, and we've been doing this for a long time now, but there are ways to use Zoom that can improve. You gave her one recommendation, but I think you could have given her more about how she used the Zoom stage. Overall, I'm going to paraphrase what you said. It was a wonderful evaluation. Thank you, Sarah. Back to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Tiger. That was an interesting evaluation of an evaluation. With Toastmasters, we are constantly learning and growing. And speaking of learning, let's hear how we can learn to use our grammar and the English language better, and how we're already doing it very well. Let us welcome Lauren.
Thank you, Michelle. The Toastmasters who used the word of the day are Yasmin, Jerry used it twice, Michelle, and Ravi used it twice. So good job. And I only caught a couple improper grammatical uses. Yasmin, when you were talking about Aladdin, sometimes you pronounce genie as Jenny, and I would make the E longer so it's clear as genie. And Sarah, in your evaluation, you said to make the speech more strongly something. I would suggest saying make the speech stronger so it's more concise. 2 phrases or words that were of note. Titan, you said delegating doesn't mean we have someone to blame when things go wrong. I think that's an important concept to remember when being a leader. And Sarah, I liked the title of your book, A Life of Glory. It's a good on-the-spot title that you came up with. Thank you. And that ends my report.
Thank you for an excellent grammarian report, Lauren. We should have you come every meeting and, as much as possible, serve as our grammarian as well. I love how you noted things that we all sometimes forget. We tend to pronounce things differently. I do that all the time. I was just telling my husband last night, I'm better with the use of English in writing because I've read so much, and I have to push Merriam-Webster to get the pronunciation of a word. Yesterday, I actually had the word rotund, rotund, and I was saying, is it rotund or rotund? And I had to check. So great job there, Lauren. Thank you. I have been looking for an counter. I can't seem to find anyone who's labeled counter. So if we have an counter, will the counter please unmute and report our account if we have such a person in the room? Please, please, please. Looks like,
Yeah, we are all experts. We don't make our
okay, good.
notes.
Because I mean, I was going to blame my eyesight, my poor eyesight again for not seeing where's the account. Or so apparently we don't have one today. Yes, very good remark there, Yasmin. Most of us, we're experts at going instead of saying just swallow it. So let us now hear from our timer. Since she's already smiling at us on screen, let's welcome Yasmin.
Thank you, Michelle. I don't have anyone who went too off the time to say that they need to really take care of the time, but I can quickly mention the time taken by all the speakers. Titin, the prepared speech was just on time, was 7 minutes. It was just a little short by 2 seconds, 7 minutes, 58 seconds. Sarah, I have to apologize. I got distracted and didn't take care of the time. It's all my mistake. Michelle, it was for you, the table topic was 1 minute 40 seconds. Tiger, you spoke for 2 minutes 14 seconds, so it's still within the buffer time. Lauren spoke for 1 minute 30 seconds. Titin was 2 minutes 13 seconds, so it's still within time. Jerry, 2 minutes 10 seconds. For the evaluation, Sarah, you spoke for 3 minutes, so it's just on time. Tiger, you took 2 minutes 45 seconds, and Lauren's report for grammarian was 1 minute 45 seconds. So no really disqualifications of being too long or too short. We did well on time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yasmin. And you did that timer's report in just slightly over a minute. Wonderful job. So let me see. We have a bit of time, and as general evaluator, I would like to have a few minutes to comment on the meeting. It's always a pleasure to comment on RSS meetings. I don't get to do this that often, so I am enjoying this. I've already mentioned that our Toastmaster of the day, Jerry, did a phenomenal job from the start. You have a very professional approach which captures attention, and you always seem to be very well prepared. You gave an excellent introduction of what the meeting would be like. You broke up, you explained there will be 3 segments, and then you proceeded to introduce the first segment and so on. Great job, Jerry. I cannot imagine. I still go back to the first time when you said, I'm not good with English. I cannot do this or that. And then you proceeded to blow it out of the park anyway. So great job, Jerry. I look forward to any role you take. You demonstrate what Toastmasters does for people. Amazing. And our speaker, she's already received comments and then comments on the comments, so I won't add more to that. Our table topics master. I always love it when Ravi is table topics master. All of the questions were just so tantalizing. I was sitting there before he called me. I was like, please call me. And he did. And after that, I was thinking, I want to answer that. I want to answer that. All of his questions were thought-provoking. Very good job, Ravi. And then you had excellent transitions between one response to the other. And all our table topics respondents rose to the occasion, gave excellent responses, even demonstrated what they were talking about by sharing whatever it was, a book. So table topics was great. Our Toastmaster was great. Our speaker, as always, Titin, I really enjoy listening to you. Let me see, is there any role that I have not commented on? I've already said, Lauren, we want you here every meeting to serve as backup grammarian. And who else? It looks like I've covered everyone. So I thoroughly enjoyed my role as general evaluator. It was nice to be not having to show my video. I didn't want to scare you people with my red eyes and red face. At this point, let me hand control back to our Toastmaster of the meeting. Let's welcome Jerry back.
Thank you, Michelle. It's a very, very comprehensive and studio evaluation. And the way I think all roles can learn a lot from you, from your suggestion, your advice, and we can make progress. Thank you. So now I would like to hand over to our ISS president, Yasmin, right?
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you very much. With everyone, I enjoyed the meeting. I would like to open the floor in case there is any comment or announcement. Looking at Tiger, Michelle, anything new that we should know besides the change of Exco, which is going to happen very soon? So don't send me the reminder that I'm there only for 2 weeks. But yes, beside that, is there any other reminder? Any club business?
Well, Yasmin, you've done a good job because you're definitely replaceable.
Titan, that seems to be the famous quote from your speech today. So we need to change that or keep that. I agree to that, Tiger. I agree to that totally. Just a reminder for the renewals, I have shared the emails that we will, in case we will be renewing early, we will get the special discount because I understand that the fee is going to increase. Second great news is that we have received a prize money for $50, I guess, for PR, for making the club more visible. So I have invited ideas on how we can utilize this. The options we have is either to have a Facebook live event, or we can be creative in that regard, and we can feature on the website as well, on District 7 website. I really hesitate to invite Lauren as guest. I do see her strongly as part of our family, and she is so consistent in her presence to our meetings that I am quite hesitant that to invite her as a guest, as I say, but I see her as the only guest here. And Lauren, maybe you can share if you feel that RSS have made a difference.
Yeah, I would like to be a member. I emailed the VP of membership, but I can also call her. I believe I still have her contact information. I enjoy this group because of the organization of it, and everyone is excited about the theme, which is fun, and takes part in it, whether it be word of the day or table topics. So it's a nice group and cool to have everyone from different parts of the world.
Thank you, Lauren. That really makes us so glad, because it's not that we don't know the strength of a club. We very much value the diversity, the organization, and professionalism that everyone delivers, keeping fun as the priority. So it's a unique combination. Tiger, is it a raised hand to say something?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. Lauren, welcome to the family. We appreciate all the times you've come, and you are more than welcome to join us, and you are going to be a very valuable addition. The other thing, I want to piggyback on this payment thing. It's a little confusing. They are going to raise the fee to $60 for 6 months, which still is $10 a month for what you get. That's a pretty good deal. However, if you want to pay the current rate of 45, you need to pay for the next time period before the end of July. So if you pay 45 now for the next 6 months, and that doesn't start until, help me out here, Michelle, October 1st? Is that right? The period goes from October 1st to April. So you're paying it forward, so to speak. But still, if you want to save $15, $15 is $15. Just make sure and pay before the end of July.
Correct.
Yeah, if I may add, this period is actually about half of the period, because Toastmasters starts, like you mentioned, Tiger, it ends on September, and then the next one is October to April or to March. So we already had that. So we renewed, those of us who were current members back then, we renewed April to September. Now, for those who are joining this month, I would actually just save them, a few dollars by saying, let's start you on July 1st. So you don't have to pay for June, because June is already half done. And that's just my view, we just save that. We start you on July 1st, and then go forward for another period. I can send an email out to everyone if as soon as I get my eyesight back. No, just
Hey,
kidding.
Michelle, can you send an email explaining how do you pay in July? Can you do it online? Because I know that all members now can pay online. Is that going to be possible for this early payment?
I am not sure. I will
Okay.
check that and email everyone out.
Thank you. That would
Thank
be very helpful. And so Lauren, she's speaking to you as don't join until July, because it'll save you a little bit of money.
Yeah, that was the idea. So I think that is there. There are two more points I would like to bring to everyone's attention as a special request and observation. We have our Toastmasters website and we are underutilizing it. We should really be proactively putting our roles into our website in advance, because that would help a lot the VPE in planning, as well as us in sort of keeping check on the pathways where we want to have, delivering, and it would just reflect on our proactiveness and a little bit of more planning that we can utilize. So I really urge you all to proactively utilize the speaking slots we have to get back on the pathways, because pathways and membership are two critical elements in order to show the achievements. I'm saying it's just the minimum standards set by Toastmasters. We have had two continuous years of DCP. If I'm not pronouncing it wrong, it's the Distinguished President Club, DPC. So let's keep that spirit continue and really utilize our pathway journey well. So that's two special humble requests from my side to all the members. And with this, I would adjourn the meeting if there is no last comment. Anyone, any comment before I officially adjourn?
Make sure and stick around so Robbie can get some roles set up for next week.
Absolutely.
Let's give a big hand to the outgoing executive team, especially Yasmin. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Clap, clap, clap.
Thank you so much. That's encouraging. I really need it at least 2 weeks before I go so that the hangover is not serious. I sincerely appreciate, and I could not have done it without the excellent members that RSS have, honestly. With this, I would officially adjourn the meeting, but please stay around because VPE will set the agenda for the next meeting. So here I adjourn the meeting.